Welcome back to the MANN channel. Okay, so today's video is going to be the 23rd episode of the Wakeboat ownership video. If you're interested in checking out any of those other videos, I'll put a link to those videos right up here. But in today's video, I'm going to talk about the options that I built my 2018 Malibu 24 MXZ with, and what I thought was important, what I learned I could go without, and basically just share my experiences with the options that Malibu provided at the time. I do plan on doing another video just like this on my 2022 Nautique G23 after I've received it, just so I can go through that build sheet and talk about the options that I ordered on that and why maybe I did not order other options that were available. But for today, it is going to be my 2018 24 MXZ. Okay, so what I've got up on my screen here is my build sheet for my 2018 24 MXZ. I submitted this build back at the beginning of 2018, I think it was January 2018. I worked on this build throughout the fall of 2017. You can see the colors of this boat. I'll also show you a couple video clips of how this boat turned out. I really loved the 24 MXZ. I still miss that boat for certain reasons, and I had a lot of fun on this boat. I put 350 hours on this boat. I'll take you down to the beginning of the options. So at the beginning you can see all the colors, and just so you know, this is typically industry-wide across the different brands in the wakeboat industry, and I think this even applies to like cars and trucks. Sometimes you can find differences, but for the most part, if you have a build sheet like this one, and there are items on it that have a dollar value beside it, that is an extra option. Those items that are listed that do not have a value on them means that was an option that did not cost you extra money, or that it was a standard option. So you can see examples of that. A really good example of that on my 2018 24 MXZ build is this whole base color that I chose to do light graphite. Light graphite was the darkest color you could put on the bottom of the boat without it costing you money. And I actually really liked that color. I did that both on my 2017 23 LSV and on my 2018 24 MXZ, and I thought it really held up well when you get little nicks and little tiny rock chips and stuff like that. The darker the color you go, the more you can see those things. So light graphite was a nice change up from white, but also helps hide those things. But you can see that I have several different colors here that cost me money down here and also here. So my deck accent 2, deck base, deck main, whole accent 2, whole main, and swim step. So all those things cost me extra money. Now, as you can see, that was over $7,000 worth of upgrades in color. Would I do that again? I don't think so. And the reason I say that is, although I love the metal flake, and I love how it looks, I thought it turned out great on this boat. Basically, the entire side of the boat was metal flake, including the swim platform. I believe that in the end, it was a little bit more metal flake than I cared to have. It was a little bit overkill for my preferences. That, and one of the things you're risking with lots of metal flake is if you ever get damage to your metal flake, it takes a lot more time and precision, and could cost you a lot more money to have it repaired. Because if you want your metal flake to look perfect, you have to repair that entire section, not just where the damage is. Where if it was just a base color with no metal flake, they can just repair that specific area, so it's a much smaller patch. So that's kind of my thoughts on paying so much for extra colors. In this case, I think if I were to do this build all over again, I would probably go with at least a couple of these spots without the metallic, and save some money there. But again, I was really happy with how it turned out. I think if I did it again, I'd dial it back. So then we come down to all the other options. The first one you see here is the boat cover. So I did get the cover that goes over the folded tower. So I had the G4 tower, which will be on here as well. I wanted the cover so that I could travel down the road with the tower folded down, not get any bugs on my speakers, the tower itself. So you can see this was a $1,600 upgrade. I would definitely do that again. I actually ordered that with my G23, but I will say that with my 2019 G23, the cover didn't work so great going down the road. I did point that out in my Malibu versus Nautique comparison video. But anyways, I still like that option, so that way you can cover everything that's on your tower and keep those things out of the elements as well. So that one was definitely worth it. Then we have the GL Flip Bimini with surf storage. So this Bimini option, I think a lot of people and dealers actually pass that up and don't do that option, but it's actually a really cool option. It's actually where you can totally fold your Bimini down inside the boat, and it just makes it to where you can deploy your Bimini quicker. You don't have to put poles in or anything like that. So I really like that option. I think the only reason why you may not like the Flip Bimini compared to the standard Bimini, it didn't have a great like tucked away in its Bimini boot option. It would just kind of be hanging out over the back. But it still worked. I always have my Bimini deployed anyways, so I don't really care about that. So would I do that again? Of course I would. I like that. I like that option a lot. In fact, with my new G23, I ordered a Bimini that I'm not going to have to fold away ever. It always stays deployed. So shrinkable shipping cover, that's something that the dealer did standard. So I'm not really going to talk about that. It was just what they do with their boats. So then we have the high altitude torque prop. So I'm always at about 3,200 feet. So I usually go with the high altitude, high torque prop. So basically gives you more low end than top end. So more hole shot or more out of the hole power as opposed to more top end speed. Just because higher altitude, and I like to be able to push as much weight as I can. So that's usually what I do. I will say that with my 2019 Nautique G23, it did really well with the 17 by 15.5 prop, which would be the kind of standard prop, kind of the middle of the range, which I was surprised about. But I did order the 17 by 14 for my new G23. So would I go with that again? Of course I would. I do like to have the ability to push whatever weight I can. So. But if you were worried about fuel efficiency and if you're at a lower altitude, you could probably get away with the 17 by 15.5 or maybe even the next level up in pitch that makes it go faster or have more top end. Okay, and then you can see that the 6.2 liter 450 engine was standard, so that was not an upgrade. So the only thing I'll point out there is the fact that you did have the option to go to the supercharged engine. But so far I have done very well with the 450 engine. So I did the 450 in my 2018 24 MXE. I had the 450 PCM in my 2019 G23, and they did really well, and I was happy with the fuel efficiency. So I don't feel like there's a need to go to the supercharged engine for myself, but that would be up to you. The next thing I had on here for my 2018 24 MXE was the surf pipe. So funny enough, I actually took that off the boat after about 2 times out because it was messing with my wakeboard wake and I didn't like that. So if I had to do this exact same thing, this exact same order all over again, I would definitely not order that. But they actually changed it to where it's a standard. You have to do the surf pipe with a 24 MXE after this year. But they did fix it a little bit. So the surf pipe came back. Came back probably that far on the end of the boat, but they actually shortened it and it comes back only about this far. And I'm assuming that may have fixed the issue, but yeah, if I had to do the same order again, I would not order the surf pipe. So the next item is the heater 3 outlet. So you could do a heater with I think 2 outlets, 3 outlets, and then like 5 outlets. Would I do the 3 outlet again? Yeah, most of the time it's just me, my wife, and my daughter on the boat, and on those cold days we're using those. So I don't feel like it's necessary to have all 5. But if you always have a full crew of people on your boat, you might want to have a few extra outlets. So if I was to order it again, would I do it the same? Yes. In fact, I think I did 3 outlets on the 2022 Nocti G23 as well. Shower. So hot water shower. I've had a shower on 4 out of the 5 wake boats I've owned. And out of probably 1,500 hours, maybe more, I'm not sure, on all the boats, all the wake boats that I've had, I've probably used the shower maybe between 5 and 10 times. They refer to the shower as like your season extender. So like when you're in cold water, you can kind of put hot water down your wetsuit or what have you. I've tried that a lot, and I find that just keeping yourself dry when you're out of the water, whether it's before you get in the water or after you get out, keeping yourself dry and warm actually works way better. We did use the shower actually to kind of take a shower out on the lake a few times when we were camping without a camper, like with a tent. But other than that, I thought that was kind of a useless feature. So I would definitely not option another boat with a hot water shower myself. You can see the wake setter hole graphics were standard for this year. So the next thing is the sound system, the MXE pack. This is definitely a must. This gives you your base sound system, so your stereo and your speakers and amps to start with. So I can't imagine a boat without that. I think the only reason why you would not option your boat with that is if you were going to go take it in and have somebody do a professionally upgraded sound system. The sound systems that come from the factory are plenty good enough for me. I like to listen to my music on the boat here and there, but I'm by no means a perfectionist when it comes to really awesome sound. So yeah, I would definitely do that again. The subwoofer, 12-inch subwoofer on the 24 MXZ. It wasn't standard to have a subwoofer, and I think my 2017 I did not put a subwoofer on. And honestly, it really just depends on whether or not you care about the thump. The reason why I did not put it on my 2017 is because there was 6 8-inch speakers, and those provided a decent thump. But I have decided since that I do like to have at least one sub. So that one's kind of a toss-up. It really kind of depends on your preference. I would probably go ahead and make sure my boat has a subwoofer of some sort. So now you see the G4 tower. So these days that'd be equivalent to doing like the power tower options, and I had a power tower on my 2019 G23. I also ordered my new boat with a really cool tower. So just to let you know, I did like the G4 tower a lot. It does have some parts that kind of wear out and wiggle their way out, but I was able to get in and fix those things and tighten them and what have you. But I did like the G4 tower and how it folded down and how it folded down to tow for its time. So would I option it with that again? Yes, I would. Then you see that I put on the clamping. So the G4 tower came standard with one set of PTM clamping racks. Then you had to pay if you wanted a second set, so that's what you see here and also down here. So that meant I had 4 PTM Edge clamping racks on my 2018 24 MXZ. When I first ordered that boat, it made sense to do that because I quite frequently would have people out on the boat and we would fill up those racks and we'd have boards in the surf bimini. But since then, it's more often just me, my wife, and my daughter, and we'll have a few people out here and there. And so I don't think the extra money for the extra set of clamping racks is worth it. As you can see right here, it was $2,200 per rack, so that's $4,400 upgrade to get an extra pair of clamping racks. Again, for me, it's not worth it anymore. At the time, I thought it was. So then you see this side pole surfing point port and starboard, $258. Now, honestly, that's a fairly cheap option when it comes to options on a wake boat. But I will tell you, if I had to do it again, based on where they're located and how they work, if it was the exact same setup, I wouldn't do it because we barely ever used those. They look cool, but we barely ever used them. They have changed that to where it's like a little hook right on the back of the tower, which looks more useful to me. So I might do it if it was a later, if I might do it if I ordered another Malibu down the road, and it was that hook instead of the little knobs on the inside of the tower. But if I had to do the same order again, I would not order those because we never used them. And when we tried using them, they were kind of in the way of the people they kind of concerned me they were going to hit the people on the boat or catch on something. Okay, so then we have our 2 pairs of Rev 8 speakers for the tower. Now I had 3 different 23 LSVs that had just 1 pair of speakers on the tower. I felt it was necessary for the resale value of a 24MXZ with a G4 tower on it that it had 2 pairs of speakers. Did I care about it for having sound out behind the boat? Not so much. I will tell you that 24MXZ's engine was so loud that you kind of had to have the music cranked on the tower to be able to even hear it while you're surfing, which was not the case with my 2019 G23, and I thought was very cool about the G23. But I was just worried or concerned about the resale value of that particular setup. And I think it made sense. So if I ordered the same thing again, I would do 2 pairs, just if for nothing else, just for the resale value. So then you get down to tower amps. So if you did, I think it was if you did any speakers on the tower, it was required that you get an extra amp, or if you got a second set, you had to get an extra amp. So that's what that was for. So it goes hand in hand with getting an extra set of speakers or tower speakers in general. So then we have the next item is your bow hard tank for ballast. I would definitely do that because I'm always interested in maxing out the ballast capacity of a boat. So I would always do that instead of having like a walk through in the front and no bow ballast. So I definitely do that again. Then you can see that the midship is standard, and then rear is standard. But then there's this plug and play plumbing with auto vent. So to have the plug and play, I think is important. So I would definitely do that again. That gives you the ability to easily hook up bags on top in the rear, on top of the tanks in the rear lockers, which I did on every Malibu I had. So I always wanted to max out that. That capacity. Plus, in 2018, they came out with the tanks that the hard tanks would go up the side of the locker. So that means that when you put your bags in, and when the bags fill up, they fill up to the top of the hard tank, and the hard tank filling up means that your bags are full too. So it monitored both your bags and the hard tanks, which I thought was really cool. It was a big upgrade back then. Now it's a little bit old news. The next thing you see is Surfgate with Malibu Surfman. I can't imagine anybody ordering a Malibu without Surfgate ever since it came out. That, even though that's got a dollar value on it, that's one of those things that is really a dealer standard. Pretty much every dealer is putting that option on all the Malibus, unless a customer comes in and specifically says, I don't want that on it. So yeah, I would definitely do that again. The Power Wedge too, very similar to Surfgate. Ever since Power Wedge came out, you rarely see a Malibu without the Power Wedge unless a customer specifically doesn't want it. So I would definitely do that again. Then we get up to cockpit options. Stainless steel cup holders is a standard. Then we have deck track, which is basically the sea deck on the top of the gunnels. So when you're walking on the top edges of the boat, that's the sea deck there. I definitely felt like that was worth it. I would definitely do that again. I really liked how that turned out. So that is, and actually you can't see it here. You kind of see it back here. Well, yeah, it's the black up here in the front, and then there's black patches back here. The only thing that I would do different there is I did have that in black on mine, and I had the sea deck going through the boat as the teak or the faux teak, and I would have rather they matched, but it still was pretty cool. Then we have the driver's seat heater. That was very cool for us. We do a lot of early season and late season riding, and usually my wife is colder in the boat than I am out in the water, because I'm in a wetsuit and kind of doing a good workout, so I'm keeping myself pretty warm. So it's nice to have things that help keep her warm in the boat. So that was a must, and I would definitely do that again. I've had it in every boat. I had that in my 2019 G23, and I ordered it in my 2022 as well. Then we have the PTM Edge 140 degree mirror, $700. That's one of those things you probably get away with not having. They have a cheaper version you can do. I definitely liked having the billet aluminum one, the wider angle, and I feel like it's one of those things that's good for resale to have that. So I would definitely order that again. Then we have the power lift helm seat. On a Malibu, the amount of bow rise you get and where the seat level sits, I definitely think this is a must. If you don't have the power seat, then you're going to be complaining about not being able to see over the windshield. You're going to be standing up a lot unless you're a really tall person. But I'm 6'2", so I'm a tall person, and I would be able to sit in the power seat without the bolster up and just raise it up a bit and be able to see over the windshield. So it was a really nice option, and I definitely feel like that's a must. And then we have the suede, so it's actually suede soft grip flooring, C-def flooring. That's just what they call the color for the faux teak color. That is as opposed to having carpet in your boat. Definitely soft grip, C-deck, worth it. I've had it in every boat that I've had the option to put it in. It is much better than carpet in my opinion. So I'll definitely continue to put that option in my boat, and you're starting to see that it's starting to be like an industry standard. Pretty much all boats are starting to do that, unless you request something different when you build a boat. Then you have the sport dash with rotary. So that's the thing in Malibu boats where you have the little volume button, and you can toggle it to do your speed and your music and all that stuff. That's kind of like your quick dial in a Malibu boat, and I definitely felt like that was worth it. I would say most often in my Malibu I was using it to turn the volume up and down and hit mute, but it was good for lots of other things too. So I would definitely do that again. Okay, so now the Wakeview bench seat. So this is one of those things that when it first came out I thought was a cool idea. But later on I thought to myself, like, I don't know if that's necessary for me, and they're starting to put features like this in boats across the industry that I feel like it's one of those things you just have to do for resale value. And so that's why I did it in this build. I was like, it just needs to be in there for resale value. But after having it, I realized that it's amazing for a good filming seat. So if I actually have somebody other than my wife to film, I usually had them sit in that seat, and it was perfect for them to sit there, and then I could actually adjust them a little bit if the wake was a little bit off. So that actually ended up being a very useful feature for me, and I would definitely do it again. Then we have the wide view backup camera. I definitely feel like this is one of those features that is kind of becoming a standard as well. I think for your rider's safety and to help you navigate when you're reversing, this is almost one of those things, kind of like cars are doing these days, where it's kind of becoming a standard where you just need that extra visual right behind the boat. So yeah, I would definitely do this again. Just to kind of make another mention about one of those features that came out later, Malibu has the camera on the bow now. That's a camera that I feel like is not very necessary. Although it's a neat feature, I don't think I would probably order that on a boat. Whereas the backup camera I do think is important. You can see that zero off GPS is a standard option. So basically GPS speed control is what that is. Then we have battery setup option 3. So I couldn't tell you exactly what this is, but it basically gives you the ability to combine the batteries in the best way. And I think what it is it makes it to where you can turn to one battery and drain that battery, but then you turn it the other battery and you'll still have power. But in either case though, I did find this after I've had the battery setup of the battery option 2 and battery option 3. Even though it does not mean 3 batteries, it's still 2 batteries in both option 2 and option 3. But option 3 was better for keeping your batteries charged. So I would definitely continue to do that option. Then we have pull-up cleats. I only did 2 pair of pull-up cleats on this boat. There was 3 available. And the reason why I didn't do all 3 is because I don't ever dock my boat. So I literally put 2 pair on this boat, just for resale value, because they actually have little notch outs for those spots. And that would be the only reason why I'd say I kind of felt like maybe I should have done all three, just because there's a notch out rather than it just being flat, like looking like there's not supposed to be something there on the gel coat. So I might have, maybe I would have done 3 on this one, you know, kind of hindsight is 2020, just because there was a notch out there that looked funny without having a cleat. But it worked just fine for me. Would I do 2 cleats again? I think I'd go back to, is there some sort of notch that makes it look like something should be there? That would determine whether or not I would do it. We have docking lights. Docking lights, I think, are super important if you do any driving at night, because docking lights are up at the very front of the boat, and you know, basically like headlights on your boat. They're not as powerful as headlights typically, but they make it to where you can see what's in front of you. Whereas if you have tower lights, typically those light up the front of the boat. It makes it to where you can't kind of see out beyond the boat very well. So I think having lights up right at the front of the boat are important, especially when you're docking, and that's why they call them docking lights, or loading your boat on your trailer. And this 2018 24 MXZ actually had a high beam and a low beam, which I thought was really cool. And that was an upgrade from the last 3 boats I had previous to that. Then we have transom lights, underwater blue. So you could either do white or blue at this point in time. Now, this is one of those features that I rarely used. I don't really go out at night that much. I did go out a few times and it does look cool. I don't have, the lake I go on doesn't have really clear water, so it doesn't project very far for me. So it's definitely one of those options that I could have lived without. In fact, my 2019 didn't have them, and honestly, I didn't even really notice not having transom lights. But it's one of those things that if you go out at night a lot, it's a nice thing to have. It's kind of like a swim light back there if you want to hang out in the water when it's really dark out. So it really kind of depends on what you do. I did kind of feel like it was one of those items that is good for resale, because in my experience, a lot of people want those regardless of how much they're going to use them. So then I'm going to jump down past these things because I don't really remember what those are. These things are standard, so even though they have a dollar item beside them, it was just, you couldn't avoid those. It was just part of the order. Then we get to the trailer. So you can see the 14-inch rims come with it. That's what I did. I didn't do the 18-inch rims. I'm kind of a fan of having the smaller rims on a trailer, just because if I get damage to a tire or a rim, then it's not so expensive to replace. But you know, that all depends on your preference. I did have the 18-inch rims on my 2019 G23, and they certainly look cool. You know, but I just prefer having the ones that are easier to maintain, basically easier to change out and whatnot. And then you can see that I did have to pay for the side carrier for a spare. So having a spare tire at all was an upgrade. And I do feel like I always need a spare, so that was a must for me and will continue to be a must for any builds I do. Then you can see there's the bow step. So the bow step on Malibu is actually nice and subtle. I liked it because it made it to where the steps were like right under the nose of the boat. Made it to where you could, when you broke away the trailer to make the whole length shorter and put it in a garage, the trailer literally breaks away right under the nose of the boat. So I really liked their bow steps, and I thought that was a good price for it. Whereas if you compare it to my 2019 G23 and even my 2022, the bow steps are pretty big and make it to where you can't shorten the trailer by much. So then I did color the frame charcoal, so that didn't cost me any more money. I did do the hidden wheel chocks on this boat. I will say though that I actually did a video where I put some wheel chocks, where I actually put some hidden wheel chocks on my 2019 G23, and it only cost me like 20 bucks. So it was nice where they were located though on this trailer, and in the grand scheme of things, that's not a whole lot of money. So I'd probably do it again if I was ordering another Malibu. You can see the chrome lighting bezel was standard. The painted fenders was standard. Having the soft grip or C deck on the trailer to match the boat was standard. Didn't cost anything else. I did put retractable straps on the back of the trailer. That's pretty much something you're going to want to do on any trailer, so that's pretty standard. So trailer and fender, where it says trailer and fender here, I'm pretty sure that is their rhino lining, because I remember paying somewhere around $800 for the rhino lining, what they call the elite shielding, and I would definitely do that. I'd continue doing that because I've had 3 boats, because I've had 3 wake boats with trailers that did not have any rhino lining or elite shielding, and I've had 2 trailers with it, and the trailers with the elite shielding look much better over time. Definitely block most or all of the rock chips from happening. Otherwise, what happens if you have to trailer your boat a lot on the highway, your trailer gets totally speckled and those spots start rusting. So for me, that's a must, and I'll continue doing that. Then we have the transom step, and that again is a must for me. That's where it gives you an extra little step. So when you're getting on and off the boat while it's on the trailer, it gives you a nice little step to step on to get up to the swim platform. My 2019 G23 had it, but it was very minimal compared to what the Boatmate trailer had for Malibu. I would definitely want that transom step there. It's very nice. Then we have triaxle trailer. So I actually did the triple axle trailer. And the reason for that is because the 24MXE is a long boat, and the dealer told me that if you do a tandem axle with the 24MXE, you're much more prone to touching the back of the trailer when you're going over different dips and whatnot. So I went ahead and did the triple axle trailer, and I did not have any trouble with that. I will say that the triple axle trailer also pulls amazing. It doesn't sway at all. So if you have trouble with whatever you're towing, whatever your tow vehicle is, and getting some sway, triple axle trailer really does a good job of correcting that and making you go straight down the road. The one downside to a triple axle trailer for me was the fact that it burns tires quick. After 2 seasons, I was having to replace tires because when you do turns, it burns those tires off. So what I was doing, and what I continue to do today, even though I had a tandem axle with my 2019, is I try to just take everything as wide as I can. Like for example, I almost never turn on the boat ramp. I turn up in the parking lot and back down the boat ramp, so that I can do a really, really wide turn. So in any case, I would definitely do a triple axle again. I actually did order my 2022 G23 with a triple axle, even though it wasn't necessary. Well, with the 2022 G23, you had to either go with 18-inch rims on a tandem axle or go with the triple axle because of the weight of the G23 actually went up. So, and that's it. There are some other standard features listed here, but they didn't cost any extra money, obviously. I will bring up one item. One of the items is very common for most of the boats out there today is the stern turn or the stern thruster. And actually with Malibu they did have bow thrusters available at the time that I ordered this 2018. And it was a $10,000 upgrade. The stern turn is basically about a $10,000 upgrade, somewhere around there. To me, it's not worth it. Once you get enough experience driving an inboard boat, I would say probably a couple hundred hours worth of driving an inboard boat at slow speeds, $10,000 to me is just not worth the expense to have that extra little help with turning the boat at slow speeds. But definitely, if you're not using your boat that much, or you're just new to it, yeah, it's a cool feature for sure. I just don't feel like it's worth the money for me. So that's why you're not going to see me option that on my new boat, and I didn't option it on this boat. So any other options you might have questions about that you've heard of, that you did not see in my list, that I did not talk about, go ahead and ask questions in the comments below, and I'll give you my thoughts and ideas about those options. Whether or not I've experienced them, I'll give you my thoughts. So that's it for this video. I hope it was helpful. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you have any thoughts on this video or ideas for future videos, please leave them in the comments below. And if you are new to this channel, please subscribe and hit that notifications bell so you'll be notified of my future videos. I'll see you next week.